Welcome back, students. In the earlier lecture, we saw how we can load our data and study it. Now we'll see that how we can add some information in our sidebar. So our sidebar is here, and currently it is empty. So let's put something in the sidebar and make the web map more functional. So open the Sublime text, and here this is our sidebar, this is our map div, and this is our script type. So if I write something inside the sidebar, that will go here. That will go inside the sidebar. Let me show you. Let's just put a simple text here, any random text, and refresh it here. You'll see that that random text is here. So we'll style it properly so that it looks good. So let's do that. So I will create a div and I will call it div val. Okay. And I'll give it a class called xx12. Means I'm assigning it the full length of the sidebar. Full length, I will create the elements inside that. So let's add a header. For that, I'll create another div. And again, I will give it the full length. You will see in a minute that what it actually, how it's actually look on the screen. And here I'll call it information. Okay. Then some class here. The class will be text center, and this text center and this class all are default bootstrap classes, so I do not need to define them extra. And after that, okay, let's see that how it is appearing on the screen. Refresh it, expand. So our bulb information is there. Okay, but there is little space from the top, so I want to add some additional spaces, and I also want to make the text bigger and bold. And for that, let's add a style tag inside our header, and I will call it, give it a default class bold, and I'll write the default class here, bold. And for the default class, I'll give the font weight to bold, and I'll also change the font size, say maybe 16 pixel. Save it, and let's now see how it is appearing. Now it looks good, and the bulb information bold, and the letter is also in proper size, and I'll add some additional spaces from the top. And so I'll create an empty div here, and I'll give it a class full length, plus I'll set the inline style, and I'll set the height to 10 pixel. Okay, so there will be a 10 pixel space from the top. Let's see that. Now it is, there is a little space from the top. And now there are some additional spaces, so it looks good. Okay. After that, I'll create another div here, and I will keep the, if there's an error, I will store or show the error here. So again, I'll give it full length. And maybe I do not take this space here. It will look good. Okay. And here I'll give it another default, not default, another class. I'll call it error message. Error, maybe error message. Error message. Okay. And it is not a default bootstrap class, so I'll set some color properties for that. So let's write that error message And first I'll set the padding to 0. And after that, I'll set the text align center. And I'll set the background color. Background color to dark salmon. Okay. Dark salmon. You'll see that in a bit that actually why I'm assigning this dark salmon color and what is the function of this error deep. You will see that in a couple of minutes. And I will give it an ID and I call it bulb error. Okay. That I'll create another div and I will give it a class from group. These all are default Bootstrap classes. So you can see what is the function of these classes in the Bootstrap documentation that I have referred in my class in my lectures on Bootstraps. So the first div will be, I'll give it half of the length. I'll give, call xx6. And here I will take an input from the users. And I'll give it an ID of valve ID. And I'll give it a class from control. And the placeholder will be valve ID. So actually we are developing a sidebar where users will be able to query for a feature and will show the information of this feature also in the sidebar. So I am developing that sidebar here. And I'll create another div and I'll give it the rest of the half length, so called xx6, so that the sum of these two are equal to 12. And here I'll create a button and I will give the button an ID, say find valve. And after that, I will give it some classes, the button and button primary and button block. Okay. And I give the button a title, find valve. And so this is done. And again, I'll create another div. I'll give it a full class length for access drill and an ID. Sorry, an ID. I'll call it valve information. Okay. So this should be done. Okay, now let's take a look on our screen that how it is. Something to search here, a valve ID. We'll write some valve ID here and we'll hit the find valve button and that will take us to that particular valve where the valve is. Okay. And actually there is not much space here. So it's looking a bit ugly. So I give some space in between. So let's copy this div, copy this empty div and maybe add it after here and save it. Now let's load that. Okay. Okay, now it's looking good. Yes. So we'll do the same thing for our pipelines and for our buildings. And after that, we'll write a find query function that will be able to search through these databases and search for the item and find the item that we are looking for. So that's it for this lecture. See you on the next lecture.